I beat Kitcot and made it out of losers, and there's only one opponent left. Advocate. It all comes down to this. Grand finals. Whoever wins takes it all. I lose the first game, not a big deal. I win the second game, and I lose the third game. That's the match. I lost. That's the tournament. It's time for redemption. 16 of the best Wind Waker random players in the world, head-to-head in a double elimination bracket. And this year's players are even more stacked than last year's. There's Dark Horse Bobby, Elite Speedrunner Gymnast 86, returning champion Advocate, the winner of the in-person tournament Kitcot. Winning matches in this tournament would be a long and difficult journey. I win match 1, 2, 3, 4. It's grand finals! This year I'm coming from winners, meaning I start with a 1-game advantage against Kitcot, who is coming from losers. If you don't know how a randomizer race works, it's where both players race to see who can beat the game the fastest. But there's a catch. All the items in the game are shuffled and can be in any location. You could have it easy and find all your items in Windfall, or you could find some bombs in the mail from Grandma. We are both racing on the same seed, so we'll have the same dungeons and the same item locations. I'll bring up the settings and rules of the tournament as they become relevant, but just know the tracker on the left indicates how many locations are logically accessible at each island. And not all checks are turned on, like the Withered Trees side quest, otherwise these races would take an entire day. Anyways, let's get into the first race.
And we're gonna get started very soon. And we're off.
And we are off.
I talked to the King of Red Lions and received the random starting hints for the seed. He tells me that some islands have nothing on them, and he also tells me what dungeons are in play this seed. Dragon Roost Cavern, Forsaken Fortress, and Tower of the Gods. One of the hints told me that Cliff Plateau has no items on it. Going Cliff Plateau into Birds Peak Rock is the meta starting route this season. Pretty much everyone goes there first, so I need to pick fast what my backup route will be. I decide to warp to Mother and Child first. This is an isolated location, so there is little risk to coming here early. I see that the chest is brown. In these settings, brown chests have nothing in them, so I don't have to waste any time checking what's inside. I then warp to Windfall. Windfall has the most checks available right now, and it's usually a good idea to go to the most check-dense location. In these settings, you always have a random starting item, and this seed you started with the bombs, a very strong item to begin with. The bombs give me access to a mail check, and here I find the Skull Hammer, which will be useful for clearing Forsaken Fortress later in the seed. One trick that is used a lot in races is called storage. The easiest way to get storage is by climbing a ledge, and as Link reaches the end of the animation, pull out the Wind Waker so you start falling. As you're falling, you want to press B when Link is 3 frames above the ground. This is a frame-perfect trick, but it is easy to attempt over and over again quickly. There are several different uses for storage, and I'll talk about them as they come up. When I arrived at Windfall, I immediately played the song Passing to turn it to nighttime. My plan is to get door storage during the Mila quest, then door warp to the House of Wealth after talking to Mila. You can't speed up Mila reaching Cenari's safe in any way, so you can do other things while waiting. Though committing to Mila this early is a less common route, because if you come back later in the sea with fire and ice arrows, you can save time by doing the lighthouse checks while waiting for Mila. However, I prefer doing the Mila quest early because if Mila has a key item like the bow or a hookshot, you would be losing a lot of time from putting her off for so long. Doing Mila earlier is definitely the safer option, plus it gives me some time at the start of the race to plan out my route for the seed. I start the Mila quest and get storage on these stairs, then store the House of Wealth door. Mila bribes me at the shard, and I then open a nearby door to use the storage I got earlier to door warp directly to the House of Wealth. After checking the House of Wealth, I talk to Miss Marie to set up for the hide and seek minigame later. I then free Tingle from the jail cell, and it gives me the grappling hook and another
Just
item.
leaving after this. Ooh.
Ooh,
A bow.
that's an early bow.
Bow and grappling hook is like the DRC starting package, basically.
Leaving Windfall, I had the bombs, bow, and grappling hook, all amazing items to find this early. This was looking like it might be a very fast seed. I sail south and talk to the Salvage Corps for a Tingle statue, and then defeat Cyclist with my bow for a pearl. Then make my way into Dragon Roost Cavern, my first dungeon. This is a very big dungeon rush play, being under 10 minutes into the seed. But I already have both the grappling hook and bow, meaning I can full clear DRC very fast. The Deku Leaf doesn't save that much time here, and there's not enough combat to warrant waiting for the Master Sword. I use my bomb to blow up this boulder and raise the water level, then enter the first room of the dungeon. The big keys and small keys are always randomly placed in the dungeon, and due to how the chests are laid out, the first one in DRC is always a small key. After making my way into the main hub room, I pull off a cool rando exclusive trick that doesn't exist in any other speedrun. If you manage to get the bow when you come here, you can line up a shot on the 3 ropes holding up this platform, which gives you access to the upper half of DRC. Shooting down this platform, I can clear DRC from the top down, which is much faster than clearing it normally since you skip a lot of ladders and climbing.
And there's a second small key for Rick, so Rick will be able to complete the rest of the dungeon. If you're going backwards, you only need one extra small key because you need it to be able to open the door, but going through a key door backwards doesn't actually consume the key.
With the platform I shot down earlier, I ride up to the top of the dungeon. At the top, there's nothing in the mini-boss chest, so I skip the fight with the grappling hook. Passing next to the boss room, I make sure to open this warp pot using a bomb. Here, I don't have the Deku Leaf, so I need to make a precise jump slash down to the floor below. I make sure to grab a joy pendant with my grappling hook, then head across the bridge towards the dark room.
Another spiky here. Ooh,
That's Leaf.
Leaf.
Deku Leaf, 15 minutes in. This was a crazy seed. All I'm missing now is the hookshot and fire arrows, then nearly the entire seed would be open. I find the bait bag in the boarded up chest, then jump back down to the first floor. If you've been counting each key collected up to this point, you would normally deduce that the last check, the big key chest, is just another small key. Unfortunately, I found every key at this point, so I still need to check it. Here to save time, I use a trick called leaf pumping, where if you put away the leaf, then immediately re-equip it over and over, you can maintain just enough height to grab this ledge. After I use the grappling hook here to open the door, I go for a difficult frame-perfect A button press as the cutscene switches, but I miss it. This only saves a couple seconds, but I knew how close these races could be at the top level. I've lost races by only a few seconds before, and with how fast this race was starting out, there was a chance the seed could be finished very quickly. I make my way to the big key room and find a wallet upgrade, then save warp back to the start of the dungeon. Save warping is very fast in this game. Most of the time, it is faster to save warp than to walk out of whatever cave or building you're in. I use the warp pot at the beginning of the dungeon to warp back next to the boss room, and then check the chest outside the door.
So
Okay.
the runners could do the nice double wallet.
That's funny. More
Speaking of
cheese.
shards, there's another one.
It's time for the hardest boss of the game. Maybe even the hardest of all the Zelda games. Goma. Just kidding, this boss is basically just a 2-minute cutscene. I used the bow during the final phase instead of the grappling hook to do some extra damage, and that is the first of 3 bosses defeated.
Okay, that's our first dungeon done in like 20 minutes. Hooray! And just looking at Rick's map tracker, and I see so much blue.
After defeating Goma, I start to clear out the remaining checks in Dragon Roost Island. I get storage off this wall and open this chest to gain chest storage. Doing this changes Link's hitbox, so I can now peek through the wall and see if the fly across chest is spiky, and it is. Normally this is a very long chest to get, making you fly across a series of platforms with the Deku Leaf to slowly make your way to the entrance of the cave. However, another benefit of chest storage is Link is now able to climb much steeper walls. I sail around to the backside of the island and...
You have like so many
I leap onto this rock close to the entrance of the cave, using the chest storage to climb it so I can now fly to the cave directly. In the cave, I find the fire and ice arrows, another major item, and with the fire arrows I can now efficiently clear the combat cave nearby. Normally, you need to clear 4 rooms each filled with enemies, but with the fire arrows, I can shoot the lantern above each door, reload the room, and the final door is unlocked. Doing this saves a decent amount of time, so I was very happy to find the fire arrows right before the cave. Finding nothing here, I sail south to Fire Mountain. Most people in the community hate this island, but I love it for one reason: the timer. When I see a timer, the speedrunner side of me takes over. There's so many small optimizations you can make. How many rolls can you squeeze out? How tight can you perform the jump slashes? I literally spent an hour one day just grinding the movement here to see how fast I could climb the mountain. My time was looking good. Here I landed a clean jump slash out of the leaf, some more jump slashes, and a roll to skip the ledge grab animation. Well, at least my time was still above 4:30. Inside Fire Mountain, I skip a bit of platforming by jumping on this slope, then find nothing in the chest that spawns. Leaving Fire Mountain, I reset my save back to Dragon Roost Island. Now here's my first controversial routing decision. Many players here would sail to Paw Print next and clear out everything except Wizard Cave, since that requires the hookshot. At this point, there's so many locations the hookshot could be, you might as well go there now for those 3 checks. But I do not go to Paw Print here. With all the items that I have, there are still many locations available. I see no reason to commit to an early double dip when I still have plenty of good options. Plus, even if I don't find the hookshot, I can just sail to Paw Print after I go back to Windfall later. The only way that I could be punished for this play would be if exactly the hookshot is on Paw Print, which is very unlikely. A play like this might not seem like a big deal, but routing decisions like this add up and are what separate the good runner from the elite. Kitcot and I ended up having to make this exact same choice during the race, and we both decided to warp away. I warp to Grapefish, then peek the island chest from the ocean. It's nothing, so I then sail north to clear out Rockspire. I find a shard in the gunboat, and after the annoying process of killing all the bats without a boomerang, I find nothing in the cave. I then warp to Forest Haven. My plan is to clear out the entire bottom right portion of the map all in one trip, starting from Bird's Peak Rock. I find the iron boots in the mail that is sent after getting a wallet, then head to the cave. The intended puzzle here is to use a pair and control a seagull, then go through the slow process of flying the seagull around, hitting every switch to open the gate locking the cave, while dodging other birds. Or you can just clip through the gate. If you stand in a precise spot, you can grapple this pole and on the swing back, release while you're inside the wall to clip in. Finding nothing in the cave, I sail to Bomb Island. There's a very convenient peek you can do here from the entrance to see if the chest is spiky. It's not, so I can leave immediately and sail to Ice Ring. On my way there, I peek the chest on top of Private Oasis and see that it's spiky, so I make a detour and work my way up to it.
I know in this situation, I like to save scum this chest if I know that
Yeah.
I might want to break into Cabana later.
Oh, lights!
Lights already.
The light arrows. At the perfect time too, because Ice Ring involves a lot of combat. At Ice Ring, I find a shard in the outside chest, then do a jump slash onto it so I can skip having to walk all the way around. I use the Dekaloof to skip some platforming, then enter the cave. In the cave, I unthaw and quickly dispatch of all the enemies with my newly found light arrows. Well, except for this guy.
Okay, Kit's just gonna head
Wild
right into FF.
light dodge by the moblin.
I find a sword in the chest that spawns and head to Angular Island. I see that the top chest is brown, so I head straight into the cave. I can't get this chest yet without the mirror shield, but I can at least peek it. I see it's spiky, so I know I'll likely have to come back to it later. There's a chance spiky chest might not be absolutely required, it could just be something useless like the boomerang, but it's still very likely you'll need whatever's inside. I then sail to Boating Course Island, and on the way to the cave I accidentally talk to this guy.
No.
I have accidentally started the boating course minigame before.
In the cave, I try to shoot the targets from the entrance. The aiming in this game is atrocious. You have two speeds, way too fast or mind-numbingly slow. I managed to hit 2 quick shots from the entrance, then walk up to the third one to avoid the mini blunts.
Then
Oh. Spike
oh,
in
we
boating
got a
course.
spiky on boating course. If this is delivery bag. Oh, there's Near's
That's
Pearl.
our third pearl. Oh,
Hey,
hook
hook shot.
shot. This could be huge.
The hook shot. I'm briefly annoyed because I just did the slow angular and boating course movement with the leaf, when I could have done it much faster with the hook shot, but this is still a major find. Some players will delay boating course until they have the hook shot to save time by hook shotting directly to the cave entrance. If Kitcot decided to do that, that would give me a major advantage. With the bottom right portion of the map now completed, I head to Forsaken Fortress since I now have both the Master Sword and the Skullhammer. Here I use a new route developed by Clarion. You fight Phantom Ganon first and spawn the chest, clear the dungeon, then come back to the chest with storage from a nearby ledge. The old route involves spawning the chest last and getting bomb drop storage, which on its own isn't too bad, but mini blends start spawning after the fight, making it way harder. I get good RNG in the Phantom Ganon fight, doing it in 2 cycles, then go for the swag jump slash into the windowsill. I really shouldn't be going for this since you lose a lot of time if you mess it up, but I can't help myself if the strategy looks this cool. I jump down to the chest and bed check and get storage off this ledge. I then open the chest to get chest storage and immediately void out. This skips having to climb the ladders to get back to the top of the room. I find another pearl in the next chest and the ghost ship chart in the final one. I open it now to see where the ghost ship is at and see that it's currently at Diamond Step. I'll try to route that in before the night ends. I get storage on this ledge and use it to gain chest storage on the Phantom Ganon chest. I can now climb up the walls in a particular way to make my way straight up to Helmrock King. Also, some walls will let you walk just straight through them if they're steep enough, which I use to my advantage to skip opening the boss door and go directly into the living zone. Helmrock King is normally the bane of every run, being a very RNG fight depending on how long it takes to perch each cycle. Thankfully, there is a trick with storage here. If you get storage off this ledge and enter the Helmrock cutscene, you can then jump back into the pit during the cutscene. This will force Helmrock to fight you in the pit below, and Link can stand on top of the jail cell where you can hammer away and skip all of Helmrock's flying cycles. Doing this eliminates all the frustrating RNG in this fight and is much faster. That's 2 bosses down, 1 to go. After defeating Big Bird, I decided to take a gamble. If you knew that you had to full clear the entire seed, the correct play here would be to sail to Star Island right now. However, Star Island is a very long check, so I think about skipping it. I normally don't like making gambles like this, but it has started to become a meta play in the later half of the tournament to orphan it because of its length. If your opponent skips Star Island and you end up clearing it, then that's a 2-minute time loss that you now have to overcome. And as I've said before, races at the top level are close. After defeating Helmrock, I need to decide now if I want to sail to Star Island or to warp away. On the restream, Kitcot had to make the same choice while I was busy with Helmrock.
In either of these runner situations, where do you go next? I feel like at least one of them is not even gonna bother with Star Island. I feel like it's
Well, Kid is
a
not
bit
that
too
person.
many. Yeah, Kid is not that person. But I guess it makes sense because he's missing the light arrows and hookshot that Rick has found. And Star Island is spiky.
Spiky. Wow.
All right. Ooh, and it is
Oh!
required. Okay. So
Okay.
if Rick decides to skip this, that could be extraordinarily bad.
That would probably even
I think
worse
I
than
think that would
the
be
hookshot
that
on
would be
boating
worse
course.
than worse than hookshot on boarding course. Oh, and he's going away. Okay.
Oh. That basically equalizes out and probably gives Kid even a small lead at this one. Philip! Woo!
Hoping that Star Island is nothing, I warp to Outset to catch the ghost ship before it leaves. And people in the restream chat are already dropping GGs as I warp away. I clear Outset and buy a pear and some bait from Beetle, then sail over to Horseshoe Island. Luckily I have the Daco leaf, so there's no need for any difficult strats to go around the vines here. I kill the Mothullas in the cave and find the Mirror Shield. Now I can return for that Angora Cave spiky chest whenever I want to. I sail up to Diamond Step and in the cave, go for a precise bomb clip into this wall. I get it on the second try, then hookshot up to a chest and find the Picto box. I then enter the nearby ghost ship and peek its chest. It's spiky, so I leaf pump across and ledge grab next to the ladder to skip the combat, and find another shard. While I'm close to it, I sail to Needle Rock to clear out the checks there. Normally to access the chest on the island, you need to use a Hoy pair and slowly use a bird to hit the switch at the top of the island. But with the fire arrows, we can line up a shot and hit it from the ground. In the chest, I find the power bracelets. Pretty useless in the seed without Earth Temple and logic, but it does allow me to do the big pig check in Outset. I then warp to Windfall and get storage in this ledge, then talk to the King of Red Lions with it. This stores this text box, and I can now walk around with the text box open. Next I do a trick called door canceling. I close the text box, and as it's closing, I open a nearby door. This prevents Link from entering the house. Door cancel is basically an even stronger version of chest storage, because Link can now climb almost vertical walls. There is one drawback though. You can't see anything. This would obviously be an issue, but remember how I talked to Miss Mary at the start of the seed to start the Killer Bees side quest? Well now I can talk to the Killer Bees and start the hide and seek game. This triggers a cutscene, giving me back my vision, but I still have the door cancel active. So while catching all the kids on the island, I can use the door cancel to climb walls and even go through some of them to speed it up. This saves some time, but it's not the main reason we get door cancel here. After catching 3 of the kids, I use Link's new hitbox to jump slash onto this stone wall, sidle up this tree, and then I can phase through Lenzo's upper door. Normally this door is locked, so door canceling through it saves a lot of time. Inside, I find the spoils bag, then crawl my way through Lenzo's secret passage to take a picture of him and Minako with the Picto box. I then walk right past him and immediately show the picture to the Gossip Girls, who reward me with the delivery bag, opening up more checks here in Windfall. After that, I bonk into this tree and catch Ivan, finishing the Killer Bees quest. I turn in a joy pendant to Miss Mary, and she gives me the final Tingle statue I need to go to Tingle Island. You start with 3 Tingle statues in these settings, so I only need to find 2 statues to have all 5.
Can you really call it early? What is this hookshot that Rick is going for?
It works for some reason.
I then turn to night and light the lighthouse, revealing a spiky chest nearby in the ocean. I talk to Creeb and he surprisingly has a Triforce shard. Statistically speaking, this is known to be the deadest check in the game. I finish the rest of Windfall and then go to the chest that was spawned earlier. It was the final pearl. I could now enter the Tower of the Gods. It was hinted at the start of the seed that Tower of the Gods was foolish, so it has no items and I only needed to beat the boss, but even when skipping all the chests, Tower of the Gods takes a while to complete. Here, I was rewarded for delaying Popper, and since now that I have the hookshot, I can one-trip the whole island. I use light arrows in the Wizard Cave to quickly finish them off and find another sword. I'm getting very close to finding all the items I need to beat the game. I should have been happy, but I only grew more nervous, knowing that one of the hardest parts of the run only grew closer. I find nothing in the rest of Popper, then warp to Tingle Island. I talk to this familiar looking Tingle on top of the tower and get a piece of heart. Knowing that Angular Cave has a spiky chest, I warp back to Forest Haven and sail on over. Angular Cave has many different ways to solve it, but this one is the fastest. Stand on this ledge so you can barely have enough height to pull out a block in the second level, climb it and push forward this block, then do a precise leaf movement into a ledge grab to climb the rest. I shine my mirror shield onto the transparent chest and found the final Triforce shard. All I needed now was one more sword upgrade.
Rick is missing the sword on Star Island. And Kitcot will be picking up the shard here, but then needs to find The light arrows on top of Cabana and the sword on Wizrobe Cave.
There aren't that many options left for me to go to. There's Master Sword Chamber, Big Pig into Headstone, and Star Island. I've already committed to last location in Star Island, so I decide to go with Master Sword Chamber. But while I'm near the entrance of the chamber, I might as well clear out Tower of the Gods now since I'm right next to it. To make it to Godan, I need to find one of 2 small keys. I know there's at least one guaranteed small key in the first floor based on key logic, so searching here has the highest odds of finding one. There's a small chance that if there's only one small key in the first floor, that it's on the hop across boxes chest, which is very slow to go to. So I search the right side first, to make my way over to the left side to check all the chests there.
This can still happen.
Oh, okay, so hop across has the first small key.
Oh.
Question is, do you do that in a go mode situation, or do you just try to find the other one?
At this point, it might just be faster to get the key on hop across.
Yeah, I think so as well, and it looks like...
Because you can
Rick
just
agrees.
then not bother with any other check at all.
Yeah, if you get unlucky with the other key, it can be pretty bad.
Yeah, if you get like the worst luck imaginable with the second small key, you can just folklore Tachi at this point.
I now have to choose between getting the slow but guaranteed key and hop across, or hoping that I find the second small key fast in the upper part of the dungeon. It's actually very rare to not find a key before hop across while you're go moding the dungeon, and this was the very first time I've encountered this situation, so I decided to play it safe and go for the hop across key. Rare situations like this are where experience in running rando seeds helps a lot. I've played this randomizer hundreds of times, and I still run into new situations like this. After grabbing the small key, I set it for right side floor 1 skip. I go for a bomb ledge clip instead of the standard statue clip to save a few seconds, then leaf pump over to the elevator room door. Now that I'm in the upper section of Tot G, I need to bring a special statue from each of the 3 areas back to the main hub room. I start clockwise, starting with the shortest one. Here I jump off a ledge to grab this upper rainbow platform, call the statue to me, then I'm able to grab the statue through the floor, skipping this room's puzzle. For the second area, I can skip having to throw 2 statues onto a scale and get away with only 1. I leaf pump to the edge of the platform, then jump off before the scale has a chance to lower. You may have noticed that I still don't have the command melody yet. Even though this is the dungeon where you learn it in the vanilla game, you can actually skip every single command melody requirement here. For this room, you want to leaf over the beam onto this pillar, call the statue, and before it has a chance to stop, leaf back over the beam while the statue is still following you. The last statue is the hardest one in the dungeon. Normally you need the command melody so you can guide the statue across a rainbow bridge while Link is standing on a switch, but we still don't have the command melody, so I use a setup that forces Link to have a specific angle when picking up the statue. Then I stand in this corner and do 4 side hops. These side hops are very precise. You need to press A and move the analog stick at the exact same time. Luckily I get this trick first try, but it is very common for a runner to fail this trick multiple times in a row and lose a lot of time. With all the statues gathered, I use the portal to enter the final part of the dungeon. I was hoping I would find the big key in an on-the-way chest by this point, but I haven't, so I need to do the big key skip. I leaf over and grab this ledge, skipping having to bring 2 statues over, then set up for a bomb push storage. These are pretty tricky. On top of the frame-perfect B button press to cancel the windwaker, the timing for pulling out the windwaker and getting pushed by the bomb is tight. I get it after a couple tries and activate chest storage. With chest storage acquired, I make my way through the outside portion and blow up this beamos and kill the Carter Rock. I need to be very careful for this trick. If I mess it up, I have to go through the entire dungeon again and look for the big key. Failing this would almost guarantee I lose the race. And I recently messed this trick up and dropped a game in the semifinals against Tanjo. I climb the wall of chest storage and position myself on the right side of this frame. I climb a bit more, then jump slash, roll up right, and pull the leaf immediately. Taking note of my current wind direction, I leaf pump to the loading zone for the boss. Godan is one of the more difficult bosses to do cleanly. I start the fight out with 2 quick ice arrow shots in the hands. Fire and ice arrows can one-shot them, so this saves time over using regular arrows. Link's aim is pretty bad while targeting the eyes, so it is likely that you'll miss some shots. Thankfully though, you can cancel his attack by running under him, similar to how you cancel King Boo's attack in Mario Sunshine. With 3 cycles of that and throwing a bomb in his mouth, that's Godan defeated.
Interesting.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, nice quiver.
Oh, a quiver!
Very convenient.
Kitcot was now in go mode and had all the items he needed to beat the game. All he had left was to finish Tot G. I was still missing my last sword, so I headed to Hyrule to look for it. If I was lucky enough, I could find the last sword upgrade in the Master Sword Chamber, and I could then immediately head to the barrier. Unfortunately, the chamber has nothing, so I leave and head to Outset.
Oh, and we're committing animal abuse. But yeah, you have to be a bit careful because that big pig will one-hit you.
Thank you, Big Pig, for the heart piece. Well, now it's a 50-50. Is the last sword in Headstone, or is it at Star Island? I was getting pretty nervous it would end up being at Star. I sailed to Headstone and used the telescope to peek at what's on top. Moblin's letter. Not what I wanted to see. If the last sword was in Star, this was just even more time loss. I grabbed the letter and warped to Windfall to turn it into Maggie. Please, Maggie, I've never wanted something from you this badly before. I was not happy to see that. Now, I knew the sword had to be in Star, so I warped back and sailed to it.
Exactly.
Oh.
At this point,
These barrels have anything to say about... Wait, why was there a second cutscene? What?
I have no idea, and that it seems like Carl is a bit further away than usual.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably because of, like, the swift sail.
I lose time having to swim all the way back to my boat. Not the kind of play you want to be making when you full clear a seed. I go through the very long combat cave and find the final sword, and I'm now in go mode. All that's left is Hyrule. I enter the portal and make my way to the famous barrier. And yes, barrier skip is banned in races. So is Puppet Ganon skip and any skip involving the Tingle Tuner. I break the barrier and do the long walk to Puppet Ganon. There's nothing challenging about this movement, so every time I'm here, all I'm doing is just staring at the race time room to see if my opponent has finished yet. I know I played well this race, the only big mistake being the stupid barrel incident, but you never know if your opponent found the god route. I shoot Phantom Ganon with a light arrow and make the ascent up to the boss door, killing any enemy I come across with one shot. Puppet Ganon is arguably one of the hardest parts of the run, requiring extreme aim in the first phase and a very good timing in the second phase. I top up a magic and start the fight. Almost a perfect phase 1. For the next phase, you can skip a cycle if you do what's called a crypt shot, and beyond that is the double crypt shot. Just a few frames early for the double crypt, but getting a single crypt shot still saves a lot of time. I wait for him to fall back down and move on to phase 3, the snake. I missed the opening shot and pull out some bait? Yeah, if you didn't know, you can actually lure in Puppet Ganon with bait, and by placing a bomb on the bait, you force him to run into the bomb and get stunned. It's not the fastest, but this goofy strat ends up being the most consistent for phase 3. I finish the phase and defeat Puppet Ganon, though with this phase being as chaotic as it is, I'm now down to only 1.5 hearts. As I climb up the long rope, I alternate between pressing A and B while holding the L trigger. You can climb the rope a lot faster doing this. It requires a specific rhythm, so you can't just mash, and the rhythm slows down as you get higher up the rope. This has always been one of my weaker tricks, so I play it safe and stop near the top of the rope. There's still one more trick before entering the Ganon fight, grapple skip. But Rick, you have the grappling hook. Are you stupid? Not answering that. But even though we normally have the grappling hook here, top runners will still go for this trick because it's slightly faster than climbing normally. If any of your inputs are off, you will fall. Here, I'm not close enough for the hookshot to work, so I pause buffer and L target slide to barely reach the platform and grab the ledge. My heart is pounding. I see that Kitcot still hasn't finished yet, and winning this game would put me in a great spot to take the set. I'm on 1.5 hearts with no soup, but I go in and face Ganon. I stay still and let Ganon come to me. Zelda shoots him, and I spin attack a few times. I don't have double damage from the soup, so I can't one-cycle him. I make sure to talk to Zelda again so she shoots faster, and then I shield walk into the barrier of the arena. The barrier doesn't actually do any damage, so I use the iframes from it to avoid Ganon's next attack. I know I've done enough damage to end phase 1 now. I just need Zelda to shoot him again. I guess this is the race where all my enemies have crazy jukes. Ganon slaps Zelda, and we're on to phase 2. For this phase, all I need to do is parry Ganon's attack and deal enough damage to start phase 3. Nothing goes wrong, and I managed to do it in 2 cycles. Phase 3. Just one more attack and it's over. I have no idea where Kitcot is. We could be exactly tied right now. Having flashbacks to races where I've lost by only a few seconds, I talk to Zelda to start an attack. Land the second reflect, and time. I won by 5 minutes. Things weren't looking good for me after I skipped Star Island. However, Kitcot ended up getting the hookshot a lot later than I did, and he also last locationed the light arrows in Private Oasis. I only needed to win one more game for the tournament.
Yeah, game 2. Either Rick Schmidty goes in with the trophy, or we get another game.
This time the dungeons are Dragon Roost Cavern, Tower of the Gods, and Earth Temple, and the random starting item is the hookshot. Unlike last game, Cliff Plateau is available this time and could have items, so I start with the meta opener of Cliff Plateau into Birdspeak Rock. I immediately start taking advantage of the hookshot, It may not seem like it, but all the hookshot time saves throughout the run end up saving a decent amount of time. Inside Cliff Plateau, I get storage on this ledge and make my way to the chest. The ledge climb animation is really slow, so you should jump off ledges when you can to skip the full animation. I line up in a specific spot on these roots and then jump slash over these vines and open the chest for chest storage. With chest storage, I clip through this wall and go through it to the loading zone. Loading zones in Wind Waker often extend very far vertically, so I can reach this one from below. Doing this also skips the Deku Leaf requirement for the cave. Outside, I have a little trouble getting storage in this ledge, but I get it and get chest storage. Chest storage never goes away until you go through a loading zone, so I can take advantage of that and bring it with me to a different island. This is part of the reason why this opening route is so powerful, because now I can go to Burns Peak Rock without the grappling hook or the bait bag. You can't grab ledges while grounded with chest storage, so I need a way to get up to the gate. I partially clip into this wall and sidle off to grab the lower ledge. At the end of the climb up animation, I have a few frames to sword slash before I fall through the island. I like to mash both A and B here because there's one frame you can jump slash before the sword slash timing starts. This makes the trick way more consistent, and I get the jump slash up to the top. From here, I can just walk through the gate and enter the cave. Yeah, the camera can get pretty wonky with chest storage. I find the spoils bag in the chest, and make sure to grab some rubies in the pots. You don't need that much money in these settings, but you still need enough to buy from Beetle and for the Zanari quest. Last seed Zanari was hinted to have nothing, so I need to make sure I have enough rubies for that later. After my opener, I work Mother and Child, then head to Windfall. Milo was hinted to have nothing this seed, so I adjust my usual Windfall routing here. I get a cool jump slash onto this fence to save a second, and check the House of Wealth, activate the Killer Beast quest, then finish off with Tot and Tingle. I then leave Windfall and sail northeast to Crescent and find the Iron Boots. Unfortunately, the Iron Boots open up nothing in a non-Wind Temple seed, so Hookshot is my only useful item still. I don't want to dip Paw Print yet, so I warp Outset for the checks there. This time when I arrive it's daytime, and Mesa's door is only unlocked during the night. I ledge grab in a specific spot, and go for a roll clip to break in. Roll clips are frame perfect, so you can easily lose a lot of time from taking too many attempts at them. I find the power bracelets and save warp to the other side of the island. There's a beetle ship right next to the pier, so I check it and find the bait bag, a very convenient spot, because now I can buy the bait in a pair right away. I find a pearl under Grandma's house, and then walk over to Big Pig. This time it's not nighttime, so I can use this guy to get some skew in the pig. With this skew, I can now yeet the pig across the entire island. The pig digs up nothing, and I leave Outset. I now have a tough choice. Do I sail to Headstone for the check there, or do I go to Diamond Step? Both plays have their drawbacks. Earth Temple is in logic this seed, so going Headstone now would essentially be double dipping it. It is worth noting though that Earth Temple requires a lot of items to full clear, so it is usually one of the last places you go to. If that item on Headstone is important, you could potentially lose a lot of time from putting it off for so long. The drawback of going Diamond Step now is because of the ghost ship. The ghost ship always follows the same cycle, but you still need the ghost ship chart to enter it. The first night it's at Crescent Moon, Diamond Step the second night, and Bomb Island the third night. After the third night, all of the locations that the ghost ship visits are very out of the way, so you really want to route it in on the first 3 nights. Since Bomb Island was hinted to have nothing this seed, going Diamond Step now would mean I would have to go out of my way to get the ghost ship later when I find the chart. Not wanting to deal with that, I decide to go to Headstone and find Moblin's letter. This could lead to something useful, but I won't know until I find the delivery bag. I then warp to Dragon Roost Island and clear everything there. I make sure to grab a joy pendant during the combat cave, but find nothing else useful on the island. I'm starting to run out of good place I can make. Dry starting seeds can be some of the toughest to route. You might be forced to pick between some really bad options. I could clear a large chunk of Dragon Roost Cavern, but I really want to wait for both the grappling hook and the bow. With the grappling hook I can full clear, and I can shoot down the platform with the bow to save a bunch of time. There was a path in this seed that said Dragon Roost Cavern is Path to Goma. Path hints mean that there's an item required in that location to beat a specific boss. And here, it likely means that the grappling hook is inside Deer Sea. However, double dipping Dragon Roost Cavern is extremely slow, so I don't want to rush in yet on the off chance that the hint is pointing at something other than the grappling hook. Playing it safe, I decide to sail west and dip Paw Print. I get the command melody from the salvage core and find a shard in the right side chest inside. I can't get the scale the wall chest yet without the grappling hook, but I can peek it by sidling into this boulder. This clips Link on top of it, so I can then peek it and see if the chest is spiky. Unfortunately it is. If it was brown, I could have avoided having to come back here, but at least I know there could be something good here. I do have the option of clearing at the Wizrobe cave here, but the hookshot does very little damage to Wizrobes, and it's extremely slow to kill them with it. However, one of the starting hints of the seed said the Deku Leaf was in Wizrobe cave, so I'm thinking about going into it.
And yeah, this is DRC.
Bonking the wall. Yeah.
And Rick is going to be getting it with the hook shot.
Looking back, I regret coming here without a bow. Getting the leaf now did not end up helping much. After 2 minutes of painfully hookshotting each wizard before they could spawn more enemies, I get a leaf for my troubles. All the other plays I can make at this point are not that optimal, so I decide to bite the bullet and go to Dragon Roost Cavern. This time, I could hookshot directly up to the mailbox from the King of Red Lions, skipping having to do any parkour to get up. I could also skip raising the water level here and leaf across both this pit and the lava pit. I find 3 keys in the first floor and make the trek up the vanilla way since I still don't have a bow. I find the 4th key in the chest across lava pit and manage to have clean movement after, skipping the sidling here and making use of the hookshot to skip having to climb in this room. I find the delivery bag in a bottle in the rat room and the big key in the bird's nest. In the dark room I end up finding the grappling hook, thankfully not getting punished here for coming without it. When I finally reach the top of the dungeon, I make sure to open up the shortcut and find the picto box in the mini boss chest. I head back down and kill the enemies in the rope bridge room, spawning in a spiky chest. Finally a bow, though it's too late to make use of it in this dungeon. I find the bombs outside the boss room and make sure to collect a fairy from one of the pots for grandma later. One sleeper boss fight later, and that's Gomo defeated. With everything I found in DRC, this sea was starting to open up again. I sail back over to Popperin to get the spiky chest and scale the wall and find a Tingle statue, and then return to Windfall because it has so many checks available now. I do the same Lenzo door cancel strat from last seed and find a shard in Lenzo's house. I then start the Zanari training sequence and get the Master Sword from the Gossip Girls. The Killer Bees give me a hammer, and Miss Marie gives me both the final Tingle statue and a shield. With all of that done, I can finally check what the Moblin's letter would give me.
Because Kit is just gonna break into
Ooh,
Cabana.
cheese! Cheese is on Maggie.
Okay.
Kitcot will have to get that Moblin's letter on Headstone then.
I leave Windfall and warp to Tingle Island to turn in the Tingle statues for a wallet, then sail west to clear out Rockspire. Here, I find another shard, then warp to Forest Haven. Getting to Forest Haven checks the normal way is very slow, but I can park through the King of Red Lions next to this island, wait for a cyclone, and leaf right into it. This gives me enough height to fly over to Forest Haven from the back and fly to the small island chest. Here I find my second pearl, and then later find the ghost ship chart in the wallet mail. I was still on the second day, so this was perfect. I could wait for the second night and catch the ghost ship at Diamond Step now. I then sail northwest to Private Oasis. I have everything to full clear this island except for the Cabana deed, so I get storage in this ledge and hookshot up to the chest for chest storage. With chest storage, I can partially clip into the Cabana door and hookshot a tree behind the Cabana, pulling me through the loading zone. Here, I take advantage of the huge Skullhammer hitbox to hit the hammer pegs through the walls, skipping a lot of the underground tunnel crawling. I then sidle behind this ladder and hookshot through the wall to the next ladder. I do the same thing on this ladder and find a shard in the lower Cabana chest. It's now the second night, so I warp to Outset to save Grandma, and then head to Diamond Step. I get the bomb clip in Diamond Step first try and hookshot up to the chest.
But there's fire dice for Rick.
Visibly not too happy with that, with finding those, since you know he could have just had them right off the bat.
Choosing to go to Headstone earlier instead of Diamond Step cost me big time. I could have saved a lot of time both the Wizard Cave and DRC. Disappointed, I enter the ghost ship and find another bottle. I clear out Needle Rock and find the Mirror Shield, then warp to Greatfish for the Zanari quest. Thankfully, this is the only Goron you have to trade with to complete the quest in these settings. I sail south to Isle of Steel and do a sail jump over the gunboat to gain entry. Finding nothing here, I leave for another trip to Windfall. Zanari gives me the boomerang, then I warp away and later find a sword upgrade and the final pearl and ice ring. I sail south and find Maggie's letter on top of Angular Island, and now that I have all 3 pearls, I go to Tower of the Gods. I find a key in the first floor, then go for the harder floor 1 skip in the left side.
Oh, we're doing a bomb ledge clip. Let's go.
The second half of the dungeon is the same as last seed, but this time I check all the side rooms for items. I find the final sword in the first armor's chest, and I land command melody skip first try again. I end up finding the big key in the final chest, meaning I don't have to do big key skip this time. One giant head later, and all I have left now are a few overworld locations and Earth Temple. The only items I need left to beat the game now are the light arrows and one more shard. This is a tough spot to be in. I can either rush the most check dense location, Earth Temple, or I can play it safe and clear out the remaining overworld checks. Problem is, those overworld checks are Fire Mountain, the Maggie delivery quest, and the 2-Eye Octo. All very slow things to complete. I decide to rush Earth Temple, but on the way, defeat the 2-Eye Octo because it's nearby.
POV, you're getting your eyes shot out by a child with bombs.
This pays off massively. All I need now is one more shard, and there is a very high chance it's an Earth Temple. Entering Earth Temple, I go for a series of difficult leaf pumps to save a few seconds and hit this switch. This saves having to use the command melody at all in this room. I clear out the next room with the choo-choos, and make my way to the main hub room of the dungeon. Earth Temple is perhaps the most complex dungeon in the game routing-wise. There are several options the player could do from this room, each with different strategies. I decide to go right side and do a boss rush, and right away I find a spiky chest. This could be it, the final shard. Problem is, I need chest storage to make it to the boss quickly, so I decide to use this chest for storage and go directly to the boss, skipping the floor master room on the way. But I won't know if this is the shard or not until I enter the boss room. I climb the main statue in the hub room and clip into the wall using chest storage and fall down, making my way down further into the dungeon. I don't have medley here, so I use chest storage to clip partially into the wall, then do a frame perfect roll clip to access the door from behind the stone tablet. Here, I need to stay near the wall so I don't lose control from the fog, then do a jump slash onto the ledge since I can't climb it. Some more jump slashes later, I clip into this wall and pull the leaf as I'm falling to make it past the wall. All of this movement and these tricks to make it to the boss are very execution heavy, and it's one of the hardest segments for a newer player to learn. Though once you get it down, I find this section of the dungeon pretty fun to do. From here, I fly behind the statue blocking the door and land on a small ledge. Being careful not to fall down, I use the windwaker to do a turnaround and enter the door. In the next room, I use chest storage to climb the stone tablet and fly to a nearby coffin. I can use this coffin to clip through the wall and go around the stone tablet to enter the door. I finally made it outside the boss room. In case the chest I stored earlier was not the shard, I opened up the shortcut to come back later. And since I don't have the big key, I do the easy big key skip to enter the Jahala fight. One thing the developers actually coded into the game is shooting Jahala with light arrows. This stuns him, so you don't have to use the mirror shield at all in this fight. You're normally not supposed to have light arrows at this point in the game, so maybe the devs had different plans at first when making this boss. After throwing Jahala into the spike pillar, I place down bombs that will blow up and hit some of the ghosts. I can finish each cycle faster by doing this and save some time. 3 cycles of this later, and that's Jahala defeated. But what item did I store earlier? I check in the pause menu and see that it wasn't the shard. So I save warp and go back to the start of the dungeon. I use the shortcut that I recently opened to go to the basement first. I peek both to the transparent chest, then do a roll clip to skip the long puzzle of pushing the statues around the mirror room. I find nothing in the chest here, but I need to be careful when leaving this room. Since I didn't do the mirror room puzzle, I could soft lock and get stuck in the collision outside the room. To prevent this, I reset Link's animation cycle by turning around, then pull out a bomb right before leaving the room. With the soft lock avoided, I then shoot the 3 stop posts with light arrows in the next room. Still no shard. I was getting worried. I save warp and go back to check left side. I get storage on this ledge and use it to get chest storage on this key chest, storing a small key, and then climb to the top of the statue in the hub room.
Philip?
We found it!
Well,
Here, I use chest storage to hookshot to a moblin through the wall, and shoot all the enemies with light arrows to lower the stairs. I check what's in the coffin, then I void on it so I can obtain the small key that I stored to get up here. I leave the room, and then use the small key to enter the mini-boss room. You can easily skip this entire mini-boss by just hookshotting the torch and opening the chest. At this point, I've cleared everything in the dungeon except for the floor master room I skipped earlier, but I decided to play it safe and go back for it.
But it is actually insane how close these two are, when you think about it.
this is incredibly close between the two of them. Ooh, and Rick seems like he didn't store the spiky chest. Oh, why is he going back in?
Oh wait, did he just flat out skip the floor master?
It might as well. It might just be. If so, then this is just another time buffer for Kit.
Redoing some ledge clips and roll clips, I arrive there and find nothing. Not good. Was the shard in the overworld the whole time? But what did I store at the beginning of the dungeon then? I check my delivery bag and find out. It was note to mom. Hopefully the shard was a note to mom, or I just did all of her temple for nothing. I mail the note, pass the time, then read the letter. There it was. Not my last location, but I knew that not getting the bow and diamond step earlier, and going back for the floor master room cost me a lot of time. I needed to play perfectly if I wanted a chance to win this thing. And little did I know, I was already behind by a full minute.
Puppet in execution, grapple skip. Yeah, failed grapple skip can definitely make the difference for entering Puppet Cannon on Kit's side. Ooh, barely missing the first shot.
Second hit.
Beautiful second hit.
Very good on the chain. Ooh, almost.
at all, so they can gain some time back.
And no matter how many races you've done in the past, nerves are something that'll never truly go away.
Oh, that is the double trip. That is,
my god.
That is a pretty big amount of time gained back by Schmidty. This might even come down to Zelda RNG. Okay, you're getting the truck.
Nice.
Let's go.
Oh my god. Let's go.
Oh my gosh.
It is
This
so
is
close. Now, any mistake on either of the runner's sides could be very fatal.
We get the grapple skip on Kid's side. Oh, no box light.
That was so close.
This is the kind of race you're dying for to see in grand finals.
Oh my goodness.
Also getting the grapple skip. And Frank getting the box
God.
light. The light arrow, and that is GG's for Kitcot.
Oh my god. They're like
And as well,
10
GG's.
seconds apart. Jeez, that is terrifyingly nerve-wracking.
Wow.
I played one of my best Hyrules ever, but it wasn't enough. I lost by 7 seconds. It sucks to lose, but I can't let it get in my head. Instead of complaining and saying my opponent got lucky, I focus on what I could have improved in the last race, then I get ready for the next one.
Oh man, we're there. We're there. It might
We
be the
made it.
final game of the season.
Yeah. Rick Schmidty coming in from the winner's bracket, having the 1 game advantage, took game 1, but then Kitcot yesterday in a very close race. I think it was 7 seconds difference between the two.
Yep.
We'll see what happens with game 3 here.
It could be a very close one once again. Both of those runners are very, very good. That is why they are in grand finals. We have the cams. One of them is a little chiller about the whole thing. The other one knows it's the last race potentially, you know. But yeah, for today we're gonna have some fun. Rick is asking the gods for no DRC and no DQs.
yeah, they've had DRC in both their matches so far, and I can imagine it can be a little tiring to see the same dungeon over and over again.
Starting an
start.
Angular.
Let's
We're
go.
not gonna orphan that one today. That's amazing.
The random starting island was Angular. This was a solid starting island because I could immediately peek the top chest. I saw it was spiky, so I did some parkour and got an early Triforce shard. This seed's random starting item is the wallet, and the dungeons are Forbidden Woods, Tower of the Gods, and Wind Temple. I started with Mother and Child because Cliff Plateau is once again hinted to have nothing.
What do we got for dungeons? No DRC.
No
Rick's
DRC.
kind of a prayer being heard by the windwaker.
And it seems like we have Wind Temple, so the cat jams are gonna jam.
And Rick also one of the runners that knows or can execute on the 1 cycle, Mulgara 1 cycle. So we'll see if
So
You see
less
any of
cat
those?
jams.
yeah, he's gonna try to speed up the cat jams a little bit there.
I find a shard there, then warp to Windfall. The Gossip Girls were hinted to have nothing this seed, so this means I can adjust my usual routing here. I go straight to Miss Mary to activate the Killer Bees quest, then free Tingle from the jail, netting me a bottle of some cash. Every race I've also been sidling behind this door, so I can peek what's in the maze chest, and this was the first time it was spiky. I break the box containing the hidden tunnels, and crawled through the maze for the Master Sword. I then save warp out and set up for an early Lenzo door cancel. With the Gossip Girls having nothing, I don't have to wait for the Picto box to go into Lenzo's house. I catch the first 3 kids, and climb up the usual tree.
He's gonna just kind of manually walk over to the tree. Oh. Okay, I would just kind of set up from the.
Yeah,
trunk.
we're out the setup right now. Ooh.
Oh, he's gonna fall in the water. Okay,
Oh.
struggling a little bit here, Rick.
Not a great start to a grand finals race. Luckily, I know a quick backup to get back on the island by sidling at the slope. This time I make it up the tree and find the dagger leaf and another shard inside. I leave Lenzos to catch Ivan, and the killer bees give me a bow. Why these kids have a bow? I talk to Miss Mary and get the bait bag, and get another shard and the hook shot in the House of Wealth. This was a very generous early game, again having the potential to be a jet seed. Another bow was hinted to be on Cyclos, so I decided to leave Mila for later so I could chain her together with lighting the lighthouse with the fire arrows. I leave Windfall and sail south and... well, that was unlucky. I get a Tingle statue from the Salvage Corps and fire and ice arrows from Cyclos. So far, me and Kitcot have had the exact same route, which is pretty crazy considering the amount of options available.
Yeah, I do wonder where the first divergence will be here.
It's gonna be interesting because fire and ice arrows do open quite a bit early on. We had a warp to great fish on Rick's side.
Alright, there's our divergence here. We got Kitcot picking up a fairy.
I then make an aggressive play of warping to Grapefish, peeking the chest there, then heading to Needle Rock. Dipping Needle Rock this early would normally be a bad play because I can't full clear it yet, but one of the hints to see was that Needle Rock was path to Calidamos. This has a high likelihood of being the grappling hook, and getting that early on would make the rest of my routing much easier. I shoot the torches inside Needle Rock and find Maggie's letter, and on the outside chest I find a shield. Unfortunately, neither of these are useful yet, but I still don't think coming here was a bad play. Warping away, I go back to Mother and Child and grab a fairy for Grandma. Then when I arrive at Outset, I find the final Tingle statue in Mesos, then leave and check what's on Beetle.
Rick's just gonna take care of all these outset checks that we've seen on Kitcot's side.
The sea hat almost got us though. Almost.
Yeah, you gotta watch out for these guys. They are very large.
They're large and they don't even respect where they're supposed to be most of the time.
Yeah.
They're not supposed
Yeah.
to be able to be on land, but on this island everything goes.
Yeah. Here comes one.
Oh no, oh no. It's on land, it's on land. It's like you're golfing in Florida and a gator starts being close to you, you know?
That's terrifying.
I find the spoils bag under Grandma's house, and of course I wouldn't forget to save Grandma. After that, I do a roll clip next to Big Pig so I can enter Jaboon's cave early without needing bombs. With nothing in the cave, I actually turn around instead of save warping here, because it's slightly faster to avoid in this whirlpool. This ends up spawning me closer to where I want to go next, Horseshoe.
Rick getting a kind of a spooky grab there, but does manage to skip the second hole.
I one-shot the Mothville with a fire arrow and find nothing on the island. Now take a look at my tracker. Assuming I'm going to full clear the seed, what is the best play I can make right now? I would say it's Fire Mountain. Sure, there's other islands you can full clear, but Fire Mountain is currently isolated from all the other islands. If I just went somewhere random like Boating Course, I would be wasting the potential of chaining it together with Forest Haven or Angular. Since Fire Mountain is isolated, there's no chain potential, and there's nothing that could speed up coming here later. You can even argue I should have come here sooner right after I found the fire and ice arrows. I enter Fire Mountain and get a 432 remaining on the timer, but find nothing inside. After Fire Mountain, I return to Windfall and do the Mila quest, and while waiting for her to reach the safe, I turn on the windmill and light up the lighthouse with a fire arrow.
A joy pendant on a creep.
You never know when Miss Mary's gonna come clutch.
That's true, yeah. Now, very convenient.
Very, very convenient.
Yeah.
I actually didn't have a joy pendant yet for Miss Mary, so this was a lucky find. Mila finally reaches the safe, and it's actually slightly faster to answer the bottom choice on her fourth question to finish the dialogue. I get a shard from Mila, then turn in the joy pendant I got to Miss Mary.
Yeah, let's see if this Marie is something. A skull necklace. Okay,
Hey,
joy
trading
pendant for a skull
necklaces. It
Yeah.
kind of felt like we were trading friendship bracelets with Miss Mary, you know?
Yeah.
I leave Windfall and sail east to Poprin, and this time I have the boat for Wizard Cave, so it goes much better. I check Poprin Cave and find a shard on the right side. I peek the scale of the wall chest because I again don't have the grappling hook, and see that it's spiky. Then I do a harder peek to see if the chest behind the right side boulder is spiky, and see that it's brown. This works out great because now I can just fly back over and get this chest without having to climb onto the boulder again. In the chest I find the iron boots, which are actually useful this time for Wind Temple. At this point, I don't have that many great options left, so I decide to go Forest Haven, get the checks there, and finally go into Forbidden Woods. My rule is to normally wait for either the boomerang or bombs, both being very useful, but I can't wait any longer. Not having the bombs or boomerang in Forbidden Woods could be pretty scary, since they are the easiest items to defeat Calidamos with. There's some strategies that involve the bow, but they involve a lot of arrows, so I need to be careful and save them while clearing the dungeon. having the bow trivializes a lot of the puzzles here, since I can just shoot each of the bulbs. I peek the chest in the tree trunk from the entrance, and see that it's brown, so I can skip it. I then skip one of the flower bulbs by leaf pumping directly to this one. Making my way to the main hub room, I get storage on this ledge, and take it to this chest for storage. I change my angle, and side hop leaf onto this slope so I can walk directly up it. I need this chest storage so I can skip the first grappling hook requirement of the dungeon. In the hub room, I leaf over to this slope, being careful as I walk up it because it's very easy to clip through, and I make the fast cycle on these moving platforms. I leaf a pot shortcut through the ground, then use the chest storage I have to break dungeon logic and go to the top by walking up this slope. I make sure to walk to the right as I go up to avoid hitting the ceiling. If Link's head touches the ceiling while he has storage, you void out, which would not be good here. Meanwhile, Kitcot is fighting the meanest Magtail I've ever seen.
Items right now.
Just wait for the Magtail to be there.
Yeah,
That
this
Magtail just doesn't
Magtail. Yeah.
It just doesn't. Oh, straight on the switch. Oh.
Oh!
Oh.
Wow, Kit's getting. Oh.
Oh no. We almost had the perfect shot there. Not
Yeah.
I jump slash onto this chest, then leaf around these spiky balls in order to skip shooting them down. With chest storage, I can peek the chest through the wall in this room with a telescope. Seeing that it's brown, I move on to the mini-boss room and find nothing there. I then save warp out and use the pot shortcut to get back to the hub room.
In the meantime, it's time to eat the pig, swing the swine, love the hog, whatever you want to call it. Propulse the
Dang.
pork.
Holy. This is advanced pig yeet terminology
Go
right
ham on the ham.
here. There it is, the pig yeet.
Clearing the middle room, I head back towards the hub room, but there's a problem. How do I get to the basement? The best ways to reach it would be to boomerang the vines, or to bomb clip out of bounds, but I have neither item, so I need to use a more creative strat to get there. I get storage on this ledge, then store the door opening cutscene on the door opposite of the hub room. Now, when I open the hub room door, this happens. Since I stored the door going the opposite direction, Link walks the opposite direction when I open the hub room door. This room now deloads, putting Link out of bounds. I fall into the out of bounds water, then fall and make my way into the basement. I leave immediately because if Link is falling above nothing for too long, he'll void out. In the tree trunk room, I cut down this nearby grass. This is actually the only arrow drop in the dungeon, so I make sure to grab some arrows while I'm here. I peek the chest and see that it's brown, then make my way to the big key chest. I skip having to slowly ride this flower by leaf pumping across the river.
Interesting that it's open already, but it's completely barren.
Only 8 arrows for this, so.
Yeah. So it needs to be extremely precise here. Probably just gonna play it safe to wait for to get around the other side. He can actually use the hook shot. It does actually damage the eyes, but you have to be very close. So
Yeah, it's
It
the
will
last
be-
resort.
yeah, if he misses this one, then yeah, he can use that shot, but it's good.
Just taking the time to aim, and there we go, 8 and 8.
Yeah, nicely done by Kitcot.
Very impressive by Kitcot going 8 for 8 shots here. I would not be brave enough to go for that. I see that the final chest is brown, so I save warp out and head towards the boss. I've managed to keep plenty of arrows for Calidemos at this point, but since I have the fire arrows, I decide to go for a much harder strategy. I shoot fire arrows in a very specific spot at Calidemos, and if I shoot correctly, the fire arrows will hit the inside of Calidemos and damage it.
Right now.
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah,
Rick
you may as well
got the fire arrow shots.
nicely done.
Wow.
Yeah, not the easiest.
I knew I was one of the few players in the community that actually goes for this strat, so I knew I'd likely save some time over Kitcot here. I leave Forbidden Woods and find a pearl and orca mail, then sail west towards Ice Ring. While sailing there, I last second decided to change my course upwards to Private Oasis. There weren't that many locations left available, so I wanted to play it safe and peek the chest on top of the waterfall. It was spiky, so I make my way up with the hook shot.
We got another shard here on the cabana chest. That could be a difficult chest to route it, because you normally would wait for, grapple to maybe potentially get into cabana.
I sail south to Ice Ring, finding the command money on the outside chest, the skull hammer in the combat cave, and I then find the power bracelets in the boating course cave. I still don't know if the chest inside Angular Cave is spiky or not, so I decide to go to it and peek it, even though I don't have the mirror shield. I now have information on 2 spiky chests, the other being in paw print. This could help a lot in the endgame. I sail west to shoot the Octa with my bow and find the ghost ship chart.
What point do you go into Wind Temple without bombs? That's a good question. Because bombs definitely are nice to have for storage and to speed up the spike.
You've
room.
not lived until you've done brain storage,
Yeah.
followed by skull storage,
Yeah. Yeah.
followed by never doing that again and just doing the dungeon vanilla.
I then continue west and find the second pearl on top of Headstone, and with my recently acquired power bracelets, I come back to Outset for the pig.
And Rick having a bit of trouble getting this cue, but there we go. We're about to do it again. Another yeetening is about to happen.
There it is. Nicely done.
The pig digs up the final pearl, giving me access to Tower of the Gods. Taji was again hinted to have nothing this seed, so I'll likely be go-modding that at the end. I then warp to Bomb Island, and this time when I peek the chest, it's spiky. After pressing the switch, I can save some time by hook-shotting to this torch. Then after solving the puzzle, I find the mirror shield. Unlucky timing because I just went to Angular. While I'm at Bomb Island, I catch the ghost ship on the third night.
Yeah, I don't remember. Oh, light arrows on the ghost ship. That
Thank
could
you,
be...
Ghost Ship.
Yeah, Kitcot needs to now route in ghost ship at Bomb Island or something else, but he needs to do it for those light arrows. That's quite a nice get for Rick here.
Light arrows help a lot with the combat in Wind Temple, so that was a nice find. I then return to Angular Cave with the mirror shield and find the Picto Box, though this is a useless find since the Gossip Girl's on nothing. Star Island was hinted to have a sword at the start of the seed, so having full cleared the rest of the overworld, I head to Wind Temple looking for my last shard and other sword. Wind Temple is my favorite dungeon, so I'm glad that I finally get to play it in a race. There's so many cool optimizations you can make here, but the boss of the dungeon is the biggest reason why I like it so much. I use my car to plant some trees and immediately find a spiky chest.
Oh man.
A bottle. You know, not the greatest.
It's not the spiciest of starts.
Yeah, getting useless bottles in the endgame happens a lot more than you think it would. Here, I do a trick called spring storage. I weigh down the spring with iron boots and aim the hookshot at a tree. I then unequip the iron boots and hookshot to the tree. This stores the spring jump, and I activate it later by turning around and looking back at the spring. Oh, and I just wanted to point out that my car is the best partner. Yeah, I'm talking to you, Medley fans. Reaching the main hub room, I hookshot up to this head and immediately pull out the leaf. This gives me enough height to reach this ledge and break the logic of the dungeon. I open up the gate with the iron boots and open a pot shortcut using the skull hammer. It's actually pretty rare to not have bombs by the time you get to Wind Temple, so I have to adapt some of my strategies here, like using the hammer instead of the bombs. I use my car to turn on the fan, then go through the menu cycling room backwards. I then find a key outside the big key room, then go back into the hub room and ride the wind up to the 7 armless room.
Oh man, look at that. It's a room with 7 armos in it.
Yeah, 7 armos. Let's see. Oh, Rick missing the quick
missed
spin
one.
on that one. So, not
Alright,
as
they're-
clean.
The final survivors there.
Yeah.
Oh, not anymore, not anymore.
I get the big key, then jump down to the bottom of the hub room, grabbing another key in the way.
Alright, no bombs here. So, Rick looks like he's probably going to try to go for the frame perfect jump slash to stay on top. Otherwise, he will fall down and we'll have to get back up.
Yeah, nothing wrong with trying to go for it, but if it doesn't happen,
Dang.
it's
doesn't
not
get
the
it.
end of the world. Just get caught by the bad guys and come back.
Yeah, yeah. And we
There
do
we
see a
go.
spiky there.
To get to the spike platform, I would normally just bomb boost up, but here, I have to do a backflip leaf pull into a ledge grab. This trick is strangely precise, but I somehow get it on the first try. I jump slash over the spikes and open both of the chest.
Bombs?
There we go, bombs.
Alright. Grapple.
Grapple,
Okay.
that's also nice.
Yeah. After this, go Windfall, do your delivery bag checks, and then go paw print, grab that item, and then do Zanari. So yeah, we're getting pretty close, I think, to the end here. We just need that last shard and sword.
Well, those bombs would have been useful a while ago. I used the light arrows to quickly finish the mini-boss room, then head to the basement. Instead of going on a very long detour to open up the fan gate, I stand in a precise spot here and hookshot the bottom right of this target. This clips Link out of bounds, and I can then fall to the basement level.
What does the winner determined get for winning? They get
Massive
a,
bragging rights.
Yeah, they get
Massive
bragging
bragging
rights.
Having the light arrows for these Stalfos saves a lot of time, and I find the delivery bag in the chest from killing all the enemies in the room. Time for one of the scariest tricks in the run. It's a pretty easy trick, but falling here is a major time loss. I jump and leaf on the right side of the platform and time a ledge grab while getting pushed by the wind. The puzzle in the next room is usually painstakingly slow, but with the iron boots, you can side hop through the wind, and when you reach the gap, you can just jump over it. Oh, looks like I forgot to bring my car for the stone tablet. Thankfully, you can literally just go behind it. This trick is so simple, it's not even considered a glitch in the speedruns.
Okay, time for. We're about to get to the cat jam.
With the stone tablet behind me, all that's left is the boss, Mulgera. Mulgera is my favorite boss from both a casual and speedrunning perspective, and is definitely one of the top bosses of the entire series. Like, just listen to the music. Mulgera has 4 cycles, and in each one, you hookshot the tongue and hit it 3 times. After the second and third cycle, Mulgera will fly around for a long time before burrowing. There's a cool strat that everyone goes for, whereas Mulgera is diving down towards Link. You can actually hookshot the tongue mid-air. This skips having to wait for Mulgera to resurface, and he will immediately start the next flying cycle. You can do this 2 times during the fight, saving a ton of time overall, but this trick is pretty hard. You need to react to Mulgera's movement and get in the right position so you can aim the hookshot correctly. Still though, there's no reason not to go for this trick, and top runners manage to get it semi-consistently. But what if I told you there was an even faster strategy? One that's even harder than the air grabs. The Mulgera quick kill. Instead of waiting until after the second cycle when Mulgera goes into the air, it's actually possible to re-grab the tongue after the first cycle. I learned about this strategy while searching for new tricks to learn in the deep recesses of the racing Discord. There were only a few people who attempted the strategy, one of them being the legendary Jarhead, a previous tournament champion from the early seasons of Wind Waker. But one by one, all the runners who went for this strategy vanished over time. Most people weren't even aware that this trick existed anymore, so last year, I decided to learn it. It doesn't matter what the damage source for hitting the tongue is, so it's easiest to use the boomerang to damage it each cycle. You want to pull out a bomb and hookshot the tongue so it doesn't start moving away. Just as the bomb explodes and hits the tongue, you want to hookshot it at the same time. If that goes correctly, you can then juggle the tongue by hookshotting it over and over again. It's not over yet though. Now you need to do a frame-perfect grab of the tongue as the damage animation starts. It doesn't matter if you're 1 or 2 frames early, all that matters is that you're not late in the grab. I try to juggle the tongue slower and slower over time so I don't accidentally have a late input. If you land the frame perfect input, Mulgera won't burrow, and you can then repeat the whole thing 2 more times. I'm gonna be honest, it is not worth going for this strat. The frame perfect grab is the easy part. Getting the tongue into a juggle is very finicky, and sometimes the tongue will just get stuck in the ground or something stupid and you lose it. I practiced this trick for hours, and I would rarely ever get the 3 for 3 quick kill. On average, I lost time going for this trick, but it was satisfying pulling it off. During Grand Finals last year, I actually managed to pull off the full quick kill against Advocate, and that was one of the best moments of my career. But what if I told you there was an even faster strategy? Well, a newer runner, Bobby, started doing the quick kill without the bombs at all. I decided to sit down and practice it for this season, and the strategy was not only faster, it was easier. All you need to do is aim in this general area, and during the damage animation, you could get a re-grab with the right timing. It's still pretty tricky to get it 3 for 3 times, but it's way easier than the other method with the bombs. And in fact, I think there's no reason not to go for it, since you lose barely any time if you mess it up. I think next season, there will be a lot more runners going for this strategy, and it might even become the meta strat. And as I was making this video, it was actually found out that this strategy was not even known about in the speedrunning community. Speedrunners were still using the slower and way harder bomb strategy from Mulgera, while us randomizer players were using a completely different strategy.
Rick and Kitcot, both of them doing fantastic job. So Rick is gonna try to. Oh
gets
my god,
one.
the re-grab.
Yeah, this is the fastest. Oh, he gets it again!
Yeah, oh my
He's
god.
gonna do it. Oh my
Oh!
god, let's go!
That is a cat jam interruption right there.
What a flex by Rick, the 1 cycle there.
That guy's a legend for investing.
Yeah. Before, when we had the bomb strat for the 1 cycle, Rick was on top of it, and then Bobby started doing the bombless 1 cycle, and Rick was able to pull it off in this Grand Finals race that, you know, he's in a good position right now. With that time save to doing that on Mulgera.
It's all gonna come down to where those few last things are gonna be in the overworld.
And we're probably gonna go Windfall first, take care of those delivery bag checks, and then head over to Popprint, which we saw with Spiky earlier.
I got the bombless quick kill. With that massive time save, I knew my odds of winning this race were high. Mailing both Maggie's letter and Note to Mom on Windfall, I do the Maggie delivery quest.
Seeing the postman.
Oh,
Nice
and
turnaround.
nice turnaround, which means we're gonna see the outside of the room.
Yeah.
Don't question it.
Yeah. That's a little bit more expensive.
Alright,
The last shard.
Oh my god, that's nice.
Yeah, but now all Rick needs is 1 more sword, and then he'll be in go mode, because he can just go Star Island for his last sword. Oh, there it
And
is!
Mashiko with the Master Sword.
Yeah, that Spiky and Popprint must be some other junk that we will not need. Rick is in go mode, just needs to head to Star Island. But when it comes to these runners that know the one cycle, you know, Rick, Jaznix, Bobby, it's Wind Temple can be a little scary to go into because you know that they're at least going to go for it.
Yeah, they could be saving a lot of time, or they could be doing exactly what you're gonna do. That's
Yeah.
actually, I go as far as to say that if you know how to do it and you haven't practiced much, you should go for it anyway.
Yeah, you may as well. Doesn't really lose you much time.
And there we go. Rick has now completed the Master Sword.
Yeah, go mode at 114, like you say, still needs to do an entire dungeon, but
An entire dungeon? Yeah, I still have an entire Tower of the Gods to go through. I'm not going to cover this sleeper dungeon again, but I did want to point out the fourth small key in floor 1 was in Hoppercross again, for the second time in this set.
I think he's gonna go back to Windfall first, though. Gonna do Manenko and check Sonari.
Oh, that bat almost became the employee of the seed, but now it was employee of the seed for good.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
pushed
giving him a little
Rick
boost.
towards the objective. I know that before the race, he was practicing backflips and front flips.
But, you know.
Yeah, Rick took the time to kill the enemies here, so nothing sketchy happened. Now just needs to...
Oh, what? Oh, the laser hit him.
the
Okay,
laser hit
that's
him through
Yeah,
the
you know,
wall.
yeah, I'm just gonna hold my breath here.
I think we're fine.
Yeah. Okay, he's in.
There we go.
He's in. He's in. But that's Rick done with Godan, so it's gonna be the first one into Hyrule. Just outside the dungeon here. Oh, a
Golden
little
just
bomb
giving
bag
us a bomb
upgrade.
bag. Not
Rick's
gonna
say
take
no.
it though.
Yeah, if that was a quiver, I'm sure he'd grab it.
The quivers are just so good.
Yeah.
At this point, I end up having a massive lead. I don't know that, of course, so I keep giving it my all. I make my way through Hyrule and towards Puppet Cannon.
Alright, let's see how clean of a puppet cannon we got on Rick's side. Missing the first snipe.
One always sets the tone, but thankfully Rick pulling back for the second one.
Yeah, oh, that was a
Well,
fast
for the
second
one.
shot. Missing the
Almost,
third
almost.
shot. Yeah.
Gotta wait for the stop shot. There we go.
Nice. Nicely done by Rick. Alright, looking for the double crypt shot on Rick's side. Gets one. Gets the double.
two.
Yeah, very clean stuff, you know. Definitely what you want to see. Rick doesn't know how extreme of an advantage he has right now, but using the bait strats here as well to stun Puppet Cannon.
Honestly,
Yeah.
not a bad idea to use the bait and put a bomb on them.
A pretty good Puppet Cannon overall. Grapple skip goes well, and to land the L target slide before the final fight.
Yeah, but Rick's having a fast time with Gandorf here. On to phase 2, getting the parry quickly. And whiff
Nice
soup means
try.
we're on phase 3. There's a reflect, and GG's to Rick Schmidty, our Season 7 champion.
I just want to say thanks to Kitcot for playing. We've had so many close races this season, and if you're interested in trying out the Windwaker randomizer, the Discord links for the randomizer and racing servers are in the description below. Thanks for watching.